The medical vessel hung in space like a crystal palace among the stars, its translucent walls pulsing with soft blue light that seemed to breathe with some alien rhythm. Inside the largest treatment chamber, Princess Lyrie lay dying, and everyone who loved her could do nothing but watch. Her body had once glowed like starlight given form. Now that glow flickered and dimmed like a candle guttering in the wind. The crystalline structure of her skin, normally smooth and luminous, showed dark fractures spreading like cracks in ice. Each breath came harder than the last, rasping through airways that should have flowed with effortless grace. High Physician Veckrel stood over her with 6 other specialists, their faces grave and luminescence dimmed in mourning. They had tried everything their ancient civilization knew: genetic resequencing, cellular regeneration, quantum healing fields, and nothing worked. The void rot consumed her from within, breaking down the very crystalline matrix that made Valorian biology so elegant, so perfect. "How long?" Prince Kor asked, his voice tight with grief he tried to hide. Veckrel turned to the young prince, and even his arrogance seemed muted by the tragedy unfolding before them. 48 hours at most, your highness, perhaps less. There must be something. Kor's hands clenched into fists. We have the finest medical technology in the galaxy, which means nothing against void rot. Veckrel interrupted, his tone gentle despite his words. This disease attacks our fundamental biology, the very crystalline structure that makes us Valorian. It was her compassion that doomed her, traveling through uncharted space to broker peace in the outer systems. The radiation there, the exotic particles, they triggered this. He gestured helplessly at the princess. Kor looked down at his sister, remembering how she had argued before the imperial court. She had stood alone against dozens of nobles who thought the peace mission too dangerous, too beneath the princes of the royal house. But Lyrie believed in something bigger than tradition. She believed every world deserved a chance at peace, even the rough colony systems on the galactic edge. "Leave us," Kor said quietly. The physicians bowed and filed out, their crystalline robes chiming softly. When the door sealed, Kor moved closer to his sister's bedside. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. The monitoring crystals around her bed pulsed in warning patterns, system failures cascading, organs beginning to shut down. "You were always too brave," he whispered. "Always believing the best in everyone, even those who didn't deserve it." A soft chime announced a visitor. Kor turned, ready to send whoever it was away, but stopped when he saw who stood in the doorway. Captain Marcus Chun wore the simple gray uniform of the human diplomatic corps, looking plain and almost crude compared to the elegant Valorians. Humans were new to galactic society, barely 3 generations since first contact, and most species still viewed them as primitive, useful perhaps, but hardly equals. "Prince Kor," Marcus said, bowing slightly. "I heard about the princess. I'm sorry." Kor studied the human. Lyrie had spoken often of Marcus during their diplomatic missions together. She said he had a quality rare among his people. He listened before he spoke, observed before he acted. "Your sympathy is noted, Captain, but unless you have medical expertise, we lack—" "Actually," Marcus interrupted, then caught himself. "Forgive me, Highness, but I might." Something in the human's voice made Kor pause. Humans were impulsive, emotional, often tactless, but they were also surprisingly clever when circumstances demanded it. "Explain." Marcus moved closer to the bed, studying the medical readouts with an intensity that surprised Kor. "I was a combat medic before I joined the diplomatic service. Saw plenty of radiation poisoning during the Outer Belt conflicts. Your physicians describe void rot as attacking crystalline cellular structure, breaking down biological matrices." He pointed to a display. "But the symptoms: cellular degradation, system cascade failures, the way it spreads, it mirrors radiation sickness." "We know this already," Kor said impatiently. "Our treatments account for your treatments assume Valorian biology, Marcus cut in again. But what if you're approaching this wrong? What if the solution isn't more refinement, more purity? What if it's the opposite? Cor felt a chill run through him. What are you suggesting? Marcus took a breath, knowing how insane this would sound. A blood transfusion, human blood. The prince stared at him. You cannot be serious. I'm completely serious. Marcus pulled up data on his portable console. Human blood is messy, chaotic, full of ion-based hemoglobin and an immune system that attacks everything. It's nothing like your elegant crystalline hemolymph. But that chaos, that aggression, it might be exactly what she needs. You want to contaminate my sister with primitive human biology. Cor's luminescence flared bright with anger. I want to save her life. Marcus stood his ground. Look, I know how you see us barely evolved apes stumbling around the galaxy. But human biology has one advantage. We adapt. We survive things that would kill more specialized species. Our immune systems are relentless. Our cellular repair systems redundant and aggressive. If we can find compatibility, even partial compatibility, my blood might stabilize. Long enough for your physicians to develop a real cure. Cor wanted to dismiss this insanity, wanted to throw the human out. But something stopped him, a memory of Lyrie's voice during their last private conversation. If the court ever makes you choose between tradition and survival, she had said, choose survival, then remake tradition. My father would never approve this, Cor said slowly. Then don't ask him until it's done. Marcus met the prince's eyes. She has 48 hours. We're wasting time arguing. And if this kills her faster? If human blood poisons her beyond recovery? Marcus glanced at the monitoring crystals, watching them dim further. She's dying now, Your Highness. We'd just be changing how. But I've seen human medicine do impossible things. We're not elegant, we're not refined, but we're stubborn. And sometimes stubborn is what saves lives. Cor looked at his sister, then at the human who was offering his own blood to save an alien princess. It was madness. It violated every principle of Valorian medical science. But Lyrie had always said the universe rewards courage more than caution. I'll speak with the Emperor, Cor said finally. But if he refuses, I'll do it anyway, Marcus said quietly. She championed my people when no one else would. She argued for human Valorian cooperation when her own court called us barbaric. I owe her this chance, permission or not. Cor studied the human's face and saw something there that Valorians rarely displayed: fierce, burning determination. Perhaps Lyrie had been right about humans after all. Perhaps their passion, their refusal to accept defeat, was a kind of strength his people had forgotten. Come, Cor said, moving toward the door. We'll need High Physician Veckrel for compatibility testing. And Captain, prepare yourself. What you're proposing will horrify every medical professional aboard this vessel. Marcus followed the prince, his heart pounding. He knew the odds were terrible, knew this might fail spectacularly. But he also knew one thing with absolute certainty. Humans didn't give up on their friends. And Princess Lyrie, whether she knew it or not, had become one of the best friends humanity had among the stars. Behind them, the princess's luminescence dimmed further, her life slipping away like light fading at day's end. Time was running out, and with it, perhaps the last chance for two species to discover that their differences might be exactly what saved them both. High Physician Veckrel's reaction exceeded even Marcus's worst expectations. The Valorian doctor's crystalline skin flared brilliant crimson, a color Marcus had learned meant absolute fury. Absolutely not. Veckrel's voice echoed through the medical chamber. I will not contaminate the royal bloodline with that chemical soup you call blood. It would be murder disguised as medicine. Prince Cor stood between them, his own luminescence flickering with uncertainty. High Physician, the captain believes, The captain is a primitive physician from a primitive species. Veckrel gestured dismissively at Marcus. Humans have been in space for barely a century. We have practiced medicine for 10,000 years. And you want me to trust his barbaric proposal over millennia of Valorian knowledge? Marcus fought to keep his voice calm. I want you to consider that 10,000 years of treating Valorian patients might not have prepared you for this. Voidrot is new, it requires new thinking. New thinking? Veckrel laughed, a sharp crystalline sound. Human blood contains iron, oxidizing in your veins like rust. Your hemoglobin is crude molecular machinery compared to our crystalline oxygen carriers. Your immune system attacks indiscriminately, causing inflammation and damage. Introducing such chaos into Her Highness would accelerate her death, not prevent it. Unless that chaos is exactly what saves her. Marcus pulled up medical scans on the display. Look at how Voidrot spreads. It's too efficient, too perfect. It exploits the precision of Valorian biology. But human biology isn't precise, it's redundant, aggressive, adaptable. My immune system doesn't give up just because something looks wrong. It attacks until the threat is eliminated. By destroying healthy tissue along with diseased. Veckrel shot back. Human medicine is filled with side effects, complications, collateral damage. And yet we survive things you cannot. Marcus's voice rose. Radiation that would kill a Valorian in hours? Humans endure for days. Toxins that would shatter your crystalline structure? Our livers break them down. We're messy and inefficient, but we're survivors. The argument might have continued, but a soft voice interrupted them both. Let him try. Everyone turned. Princess Lyrie had opened her eyes, her voice weak but clear. The monitoring crystals around her bed pulsed in alarm as she tried to sit up. Your Highness. Veckrel rushed to her side. Please, you must conserve your strength. For what? Lyrie's smile was sad. To die with dignity in 40 hours? I would rather die trying something impossible. She looked at Marcus. Captain Chun has always advocated for thinking differently. Perhaps it's time we listened. Sister, this is dangerous. Kor began. I'm already dying, Kor. Lyrie's hand found her brother's. Marcus is right about one thing: human biology has surprised us before. They survive on worlds we cannot tolerate, fight diseases we've never encountered, adapt to conditions that would require us to re-engineer our entire genome. She turned to Veckrel. Run the compatibility tests. If there's even a chance, I want to take it. Veckrel looked like he wanted to argue further, but royal command was royal command. As you wish, Highness, but I cannot promise. I'm not asking for promises, Lyrie interrupted gently. I'm asking for a chance. The next 6 hours became a blur of genetic sequencing and biological analysis. Marcus sat in the testing chamber while Valorian medical equipment scanned every aspect of his biology. The results fascinated and horrified the medical team in equal measure. Your blood protein structure is completely incompatible, one specialist reported. Wait, look at this immune marker, another said. There's partial resonance with our cellular recognition sequences. That's impossible, unless... A third physician brought up ancient genetic records. Thousands of years ago, before we perfected our genome, Valorians had more diverse immune responses. This human marker, it's similar to our ancestral biology. Veckrel studied the data with growing disbelief. You're saying humans resemble ancient, unrefined Valorians? Or we both evolved from similar templates, Marcus suggested. Parallel development on different worlds, converging on solutions to the same biological problems. The testing continued. Compatibility was marginal at best, perhaps 1%, maybe 2%. But it was more than 0, and 0 was what they had before. Emperor Caliph arrived as they were preparing the transfusion equipment. The The ruler of the Valorian Empire looked older than his years, his luminescence dim with grief. "This is your proposal?" he asked Marcus directly. "You would mix your blood with my daughter's?" "Yes, your majesty." "And if she dies from this, if human blood destroys what little life remains in her, what then?" Marcus met the emperor's eyes. "Then I'll have failed someone who gave humans a chance when no one else would. But if I don't try, if we let fear of the unknown stop us, then we've already failed." Calith turned to his daughter. "Lyrie?" "Father, do you remember what you taught me about leadership?" Lyrie's voice was fading, but her words were clear. "You said true leaders take risks others fear, because the cost of an action is sometimes greater than the cost of failure. I'm dying in action cost me everything. This risk, it might save me, or it might end things faster. Either way, I'd rather try." The emperor closed his eyes, and for a moment looked simply like a father facing an impossible choice. "Very well, but if this fails, Captain Chun, I will hold you personally responsible." "I accept that, your majesty." The transfusion chamber was prepared with desperate speed. Marcus was connected to one side of a specialized filtration system, Lyrie to the other. The machines would attempt to modify his blood chemistry just enough to prevent immediate rejection while preserving the elements that might help her. "This will hurt," Veckrel warned Marcus. "Human and Valorian nervous systems process pain differently. The connection might feel like fire in your veins." "I've been hurt before," Marcus said quietly. Kor stood beside his sister, holding her hand. "You're sure about this?" Lyrie smiled at her brother. "Remember when we were children, and I convinced you to jump from the palace balcony into the fountain? You say it was impossible, that we'd never survive the fall." "We nearly drowned," Kor reminded her. "But we survived. And we learned we were braver than we thought." She squeezed his hand. Same principle, bigger fountain. The machines activated. Marcus felt his blood begin to flow through tubes toward the filtration system. The sensation was strange at first, then became increasingly uncomfortable. Veckrel hadn't exaggerated. It felt like liquid fire spreading through his circulatory system. On the other side of the chamber, Lyrie gasped as human blood modified, filtered, but still fundamentally alien entered her veins. Her crystalline structure flared bright with distress. The monitoring crystals shrieked alarms. "Our system is rejecting it." One physician shouted. "Increase the immunosuppressants." Veckrel commanded. "That might kill her faster. She's dying now. Do it." Marcus gritted his teeth against the pain, watching Lyrie convulse. This was agony for both of them, but he refused to let them stop. If this failed, at least they tried. At least they didn't surrender to the inevitable. Minutes crawled past like hours. Lyrie's luminescence fluctuated wildly bright red, then blue, and colors that shouldn't exist in Valorian biology. Her crystalline structure rippled like water, fighting the invasion of foreign cells. Then, gradually, something changed. The wild fluctuations began to stabilize. Her breathing, which had been ragged and desperate, smoothed out. The monitoring crystal's alarms quieted to steady rhythms. "Look at her cellular matrix," a physician exclaimed. It's integrating the human hemoglobin." "Impossible," Veckrel whispered, but his eyes were fixed on the scans. Human and Valorian biology shouldn't, they can't. But they were. Against all probability, against 10,000 years of Valorian medical wisdom, human and alien cells were finding common ground. Marcus's aggressive immune cells were attacking the void rock corruption. His ion-based hemoglobin was providing oxygen transport where Lyrie's crystalline carriers had failed. After 18 hours of transfusion, Veckrel finally ordered it stopped. "Any more, and we risk complete systemic replacement. She needs time to stabilize, to see if the integration holds." They disconnected Marcus, who collapsed immediately. Kor caught him, surprised by how light the human felt. "Thank you," the prince said simply. Marcus managed a weak smile. "Thank me if she wakes up." They moved Lyrie to recovery, surrounding her with monitoring equipment. Her luminescence had stabilized at a strange new color blue-white with faint reddish undertones. Her vital signs held steady, stronger than they'd been in days. "Now we wait," Beckrel said, his arrogance replaced by wonder and fear. "Now we see if we've saved a princess or created something else entirely." In her recovery chamber, Lyrie's eyes moved beneath closed lids. Deep in her transformed biology, human and Valorian cells learned to work together. And something new began to emerge, something the galaxy had never seen before. Lyrie opened her eyes to a world transformed. Colors seemed brighter, sharper, more intense than anything she remembered. The soft blue lighting of the medical chamber hit her eyes with startling vividness, making her blink against the sudden richness of sensation. "She's awake," someone shouted, and suddenly people surrounded her bed. Prince Kor was there first, his face a mixture of hope and fear. "Sister, can you hear me?" "I can hear you perfectly," Lyrie said, and then stopped. Her own voice sounded different, richer, more resonant. She raised a hand to her throat and froze. Her skin, which should have been pure crystalline blue-white, now pulsed with strange reddish undertones. It looked like human blood vessels were visible beneath her translucent surface. High Physician Verrill was scanning her immediately, his instruments moving frantically. "Remarkable, Your Highness. How do you feel?" How did she feel? Lyrie tried to find words for the sensations flooding through her. "I feel everything." She sat up, moving with ease that shocked her. For weeks, every movement had been agony. "The pain is gone. Not just reduced, gone completely. Your cellular regeneration rate has increased by 300%, Veckrel reported, his voice filled with disbelief. "The void-rot corruption is still present, but human immune cells are actively attacking it and winning." Marcus appeared at the edge of the crowd, looking exhausted but relieved. Lyrie's eyes found him, and something strange happened. She could sense him, not see him, not hear him exactly, but feel his presence like a warm pulse at the edge of her awareness. "Captain Chun," she said softly, "you saved my life." "We're not sure what I did yet, Highness," Marcus replied, "but I'm glad you're awake." Over the next hours, they discovered the full extent of the changes. Lyrie's strength had increased dramatically. She accidentally crushed a medical instrument just by picking it up. Her reaction speed was faster than any Valorian's. When they tested her environmental tolerances, they found she could withstand temperatures and atmospheric pressures that would kill normal Valorians. But the most shocking change was emotional. Valorians experienced feelings. They weren't emotionless, but their emotions were muted, philosophical, controlled by millennia of genetic refinement. Lyrie's emotions now hit her with human intensity. When Kor brought her favorite crystal flowers, she didn't just appreciate them. Tears formed in her eyes. Real tears, salt water leaking from her eyes like a human. "I'm crying," she said in wonder. "Valorians don't cry." "You're not entirely Valorian anymore," Veckrel said quietly. He showed her the genetic scans. Human DNA has integrated into your cellular structure, not replacing your Valorian genome, but merging with it. Your cells now contain hybrid genetic sequences, combining both species traits. Lyrie stared at the scans. She should have been horrified, her pure Valorian bloodline contaminated with alien DNA. But instead, she felt fascinated, excited, intensely curious. These feelings themselves were proof of her transformation. No pure Valorian would react with such passionate interest. "What does this mean for her future?" Kor asked. "Will she remain stable or unknown?" Veckrel admitted. "This has never happened before. We're in completely uncharted territory." News of Lyri's transformation spread through the Imperial Court like radiation through unshielded space. Reactions varied from wonder to horror. The Traditionalist faction, led by Duke Theron, immediately called for an emergency council. The princess has been corrupted, Theron declared before the assembled nobles. Human contamination flows in her veins. She is no longer Valorian. She cannot be allowed to inherit the throne. She's alive, Emperor Caliph said coldly. Would you have preferred her dead and pure? I would prefer our royal line remain untainted by primitive genetic material. Theron's supporters murmured agreement. We are Valorians. We have spent 10,000 years perfecting our biology. This human, this Captain Chun, has undone millennia of progress. But others saw different possibilities. Lady Cerise, one of the younger nobles who had supported Lyri's diplomatic initiatives, spoke up. Perhaps we should ask why human biology saved her when ours could not. Perhaps our perfection has made us fragile, vulnerable to threats our ancestors could have survived. The debate raged, but it became temporarily irrelevant 3 days after Lyri's awakening. That's when the assassin struck. Lyri was walking in the observation garden, something she'd been forbidden from doing while sick but now insisted upon. Kor accompanied her, marveling at how his sister seemed more alive than he'd ever seen her. Everything tastes different, Lyri was saying, savoring a crystal fruit. Before, I could identify nutrients, appreciate textures. Now I can really taste. It's like I've been eating with a veil over my senses my entire life. The human influence? Kor asked. Must be. Human senses are less refined than Valorian in some ways, but more intense. They experience their world with such vivid immediacy. She laughed, another new behavior. Valorian smiled. The laughter was considered crude, excessive. That's when the garden doors sealed with a magnetic lock. 6 figures in dark armor materialized from stealth fields. Valorian military equipment turned against its princess. By order of the Traditionalist Council, the lead assassin announced, Princess Lyri must be eliminated before her corruption spreads. Kor moved to protect his sister, but Lyri surprised everyone, including herself. Her hand shot out faster than thought, catching the first energy bolt meant for her. Her crystalline palm absorbed the energy and reflected it back, stunning the assassin. Human adrenaline dumped into her system. She felt her heart rate spike, felt power surge through muscles that combined Valorian crystalline strength with human biochemical efficiency. The assassins came at her with weapons and training, but Lyri moved like nothing they'd ever fought. She was faster than any Valorian. Her hybrid biology combined the efficiency of crystalline nerves with the explosive power of human muscle contraction. She dodged attacks that should have been impossible to avoid, countered with strikes that shattered armor designed to stop Valorian strength. One assassin managed to graze her arm with an energy blade. Lyri felt pain, sharp, intense, very human pain. But she also felt something else, human rage. Pure, burning anger at beings who would kill her for being different. I didn't ask for this, she shouted, grabbing the assassin and throwing him across the garden. I didn't choose to become hybrid, but I won't apologize for surviving. The fight lasted less than 2 minutes. When security forces finally breached the garden, they found Lyra standing over 6 incapacitated assassins, breathing hard. Her skin glowing with energy that flickered between Valorian blue and human blood red. Kor stared at his sister in awe and fear. You're incredibly strong. Lyri looked at her hands, still trembling with adrenaline. I felt angry, really angry. Not the distant disapproval Valorians feel, but human fury. It was terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. She met her brother's eyes. Kor, what am I becoming? The question had no easy answer. Medical analysis revealed that the hybrid changes were accelerating. Each day, Lyrie's biology integrated more human characteristics. Her emotional range continued expanding. She experienced joy so intense it made her laugh uncontrollably, sadness that brought tears, anger that burned like fire, love that felt like it would break her heart. But it wasn't just emotions. Her physical capabilities exceeded both species' norms. She was stronger than humans, faster than Valorians, more durable than either. When they tested her blood, they found human immune cells working alongside Valorian crystalline antibodies, creating a defense system that could fight off diseases neither species could handle alone. Marcus visited her recovery suite regularly. The connection between them had grown stronger. Both felt it. When they were near each other, Marcus's crystalline contamination stabilized. When they were apart, he felt physically ill. "We're bonded somehow," Marcus said during one visit. "Your Valorian biology is in me. My human biology is in you. We're connected. Is that a problem?" Lyrie asked. Marcus considered. "I don't know. It's strange, feeling part of you in my cells. But it's not unpleasant. I feel stronger, clearer-minded. My chronic injury from the Belt Wars, it's healing. The crystalline elements in my blood are repairing damage human medicine couldn't fix." Lyrie smiled. "So we both benefit. I get human vitality and emotional richness. You get Valorian regeneration and structural efficiency. Maybe this hybrid situation isn't corruption. Maybe it's evolution." But Veckrel brought disturbing news. The Traditionalist Council is planning something. Duke Theron has called for a vote to remove you from the succession. More concerning, he's been meeting with military commanders. I fear they might attempt a coup, rather than risk the Emperor protecting you. "Let them try," Lyrie said, her voice carrying human steel. "I survived void rot. I survived assassination. I'll survive politics." "Your Highness," Veckrel said carefully, "you're different now. Passionate, direct, confrontational. These are human traits. The court may see this as evidence you're unfit to rule." "Then the court needs to change," Lyrie replied. "Because I'm not going back. I won't apologize for feeling alive for the first time in my existence." She looked at Marcus, then at her brother. "For 10,000 years, we Valorians have refined ourselves into perfection. But what if perfection made us weak?" The second assassination attempt came at midnight, when Lyrie's guard rotation changed. This time, 3 assassins made it into her chambers before she woke. They never made it back out. Lyrie moved like a living weapon, her hybrid reflexes combining Valorian precision with human unpredictability. She disarmed the first attacker before he could activate his energy blade. The second managed one shot that would have killed a normal. Valorian Lyrie's hand caught the energy bolt and crushed it like paper. The third assassin hesitated, seeing his companions defeated in seconds. "You're a monster," he whispered. "No," Lyrie said, her voice carrying both human anger and Valorian sadness. "I'm just someone who refuses to die." She struck him unconscious with precise force. When security arrived, they found something unprecedented. A princess standing over her would-be killers. Barely winded, her hybrid biology pulsing with power that seemed to reshape reality around her. Emperor Calith convened an emergency scientific council. "I want answers," he demanded. "My daughter is changing daily. Is she stable? Will she survive? And why do human and Valorian biology combine when all our science says it's impossible?" Lead scientist Verith presented findings that shocked everyone. "Your Majesty, we've been asking the wrong questions. We assumed human and Valorian biology are fundamentally different. They're not, they're complementary." Verith displayed ancient genetic records. 10,000 years ago, our ancestors were very different from modern Valorians. They were more emotional, more volatile, more physically robust. We systematically removed those traits, believing them flaws. We refined ourselves into crystalline perfection. What does this have to do with humans? Duke Theron demanded. Everything. The Wrath's excitement overcame protocol. Humans evolved differently from similar genetic templates. Where we eliminated emotional intensity, they enhanced it. Where we chose crystalline efficiency, they kept iron-based redundancy. Where we refined ourselves towards specialization, they maintained adaptability. He pointed to comparative scans. Humans are what Valorians might have become if we'd chosen passion over perfection. The implication silenced the chamber. Marcus, standing with the human delegation, felt cold understanding wash over him. "You're saying we're related?" he asked. Distantly, perhaps both descended from ancient colonist species that seeded many worlds. Or perhaps parallel evolution from similar starting conditions. Either way, your biology and ours aren't alien to each other. They're two paths from the same origin. Varath displayed Princess Lyri's current genetic structure, which is why hybrid integration is possible. Our Valorian cells recognize human DNA as an ancient lost cousin. The integration is so successful because we're not mixing different species. We're reuniting a divided family. Emperor Caliph studied the data. If this is true, why did we never discover it? Because we never tried mixing our biology with theirs. We considered humans primitive, beneath scientific consideration. Varath's voice turned bitter. Our arrogance blinded us. We had the answer to our own decline literally beside us, and we dismissed it as contamination. Decline? Theron's voice was sharp. We are the most advanced civilization in this sector. And we're dying, Caliph interrupted quietly. Don't pretend otherwise, Theron. Our birth rates have fallen for 5 centuries. Genetic diseases increase each generation. We've refined ourselves toward extinction. He looked at his daughter's scans. Lyri's hybrid biology shows none of these defects. Her cellular regeneration exceeds our ancestors. Her immune system fights diseases we cannot. She's not corrupted, she's restored. The debate exploded. Traditionalists argued that purity was worth any cost. Progressives countered that survival mattered more than philosophy. The imperial court divided along fault lines that had existed for generations. Meanwhile, Marcus's condition worsened. The crystalline elements in his blood required regular contact with Lyri to remain stable. More than 6 hours apart, and he began experiencing symptoms: fever, disorientation, cellular degradation. Veckrel examined him with increasing concern. The bond between you is deepening. Your biology is trying to complete the hybrid transformation, but without sufficient Valorian genetic material, it's failing. He showed Marcus the scans. In essence, you received a partial transfusion of Valorian traits, enough to start changes, not enough to finish them. Your human immune system is fighting the crystalline elements, but they're also keeping you alive by repairing old injuries. It's a biological stalemate that requires Lyri's presence to maintain. So I'm dependent on her? Marcus asked. And she on you, Veckrel admitted. Her human traits require stabilization from human biology nearby. Separate you for too long, and both will experience deterioration. You're a matched pair, now 2 halves of a hybrid whole. Lyri took this news with characteristic hybrid passion. Then we stay together, she declared. Simple solution. It's not that simple, Highness, Cole warned. The Traditionalist Council is gathering support. They plan to vote you out of succession, claiming hybrid contamination makes you unfit. If that fails, he hesitated. If that fails, they'll stage a coup, Lyri finished. I know. Let them. I've survived everything else they've thrown at me. But the situation grew more complex when Varath made another discovery. He'd been analyzing Void Rod's structure, trying to understand why it specifically targeted Valorian biology. What he found changed everything. Void rot isn't natural, Vareth announced to the council. It's a bioweapon engineered specifically to attack crystalline biology. He displayed molecular analysis. The Krethian Empire created this. They've been at Cold War with us for decades, probing our defenses. This was their attempt to assassinate our leadership during diplomatic missions. Silence filled the chamber. The Krethians were a rival power, aggressive and expansionist. If they developed anti-Valorian bioweapons, Princess Lyri's diplomatic mission was targeted. Vareth continued. They knew she'd travel through uncharted space. They seeded those regions with void rot particles, knowing she'd be exposed. It was supposed to look like natural disease. Why hasn't every Valorian who traveled those routes gotten sick? Someone asked. Because void rot requires specific genetic markers to activate markers present in the royal bloodline. Varath's expression was grim. This wasn't just an attack. It was an assassination attempt against the imperial family. Emperor Calith's luminescence flared bright with fury. And the cure? There is no cure for pure Valorians. Vareth looked at Lyri. But human biology? Human immune systems are generalists. They attack anything foreign, regardless of how specifically it's engineered. Human blood doesn't just resist void rot. It defeats it completely. He displayed comparative analysis. Princess Lyri is completely immune now. She could bathe in void rot particles and suffer no ill effects. Her hybrid immune system combines Valorian recognition with human aggression, the perfect counter to specialized bioweapons. The implications hit everyone like a physical blow. Duke Theron's voice shook when he spoke. You're saying human contamination hybridization is our only defense against Krethian bioweapons? I'm saying human Valorian hybrid biology represents an evolutionary leap forward, Vareth corrected. Humans bring adaptability, emotional resilience, aggressive immune responses. Valorians provide efficiency, longevity, crystalline structural advantages. Together, we create something superior to either species alone. Marcus found himself the focus of intense attention. He stood before the imperial court, a human whose blood had started this chain of revelations. Captain Chun, Emperor Calith addressed him directly. You're suffering from partial hybridization. You need my daughter's presence to survive. How do you feel about this? Marcus chose his words carefully. Your Majesty, I'm a military medic who became a diplomat. I've seen what happens when different cultures refuse to work together. Conflict, suffering, waste. He met the Emperor's eyes. But I've also seen what happens when they cooperate. Humans and Valorians have different strengths. Alone, we're limited. Together, we could be extraordinary. He gestured to himself. I'm living proof. The crystalline elements in my blood are healing injuries I've carried for years. My chronic pain is gone. My strength and endurance have increased. Yes, I need Lyri nearby to stay stable, but that's not dependence. That's partnership. Pretty words from someone who contaminated our princess, Theron sneered. He saved her life. Kor's voice rang out, and in doing so, revealed truths we needed to know. We're vulnerable, Duke Theron. Our purity makes us targets for bioweapons. Our genetic refinement has eliminated the very traits that once made us resilient. He looked at his sister with obvious pride. Lyri isn't corrupted. She's evolved. She represents our future, if we're brave enough to take it. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Emperor Calith raised his hand for silence. We will vote on Princess Lyri's succession rights in 3 days, he declared. But know this, regardless of that vote, I will not allow the Krethians to succeed in their assassination. If hybrid biology is our best defense, then I will authorize controlled hybridization trials for volunteers. He looked at Theron. We can embrace evolution, or we can cling to purity until extinction claims us. The choice is ours. That night, Lyrie and Marcus stood in the observation dome, watching stars wheel overhead. Their hybrid bond pulsed between. The alarm woke Marcus from restless sleep. Military proximity alerts screamed through the flagship's corridors. He ran toward Lyrie's quarters, fighting through crowds of panicking crew. The bond between them pulled him forward like a compass needle to true north. He found Lyrie already awake, standing at her window watching warships decloak in attack formation. Her hybrid eyes tracked movement faster than pure Valorian or human vision could manage. "Theron's coup," she said quietly. "He's bringing the Third Fleet. The Third Fleet is loyal to the Emperor." Marcus protested. "Was loyal?" Kor appeared behind them, his face grim. "Theron's been working on commanders for months. He promised them a return to Valorian purity, removal of human influence, restoration of traditional values." The prince's luminescence flickered with barely contained fury. "Half the fleet just declared for the traditionalists." Emperor Caliph's voice came over all channels. "This is your emperor. Stand down immediately. This coup will fail. This is Duke Theron." A new voice interrupted the broadcast. "Citizens of the Valorian Empire, your emperor has allowed alien contamination to corrupt the royal bloodline. Princess Lyrie is no longer Valorian, she's a hybrid abomination. For the purity of our species, for the preservation of 10,000 years of genetic refinement, I claim emergency authority. The imperial family will be taken into protective custody until proper succession can be established." Weapons fire lit up space. Ships loyal to the Emperor engaged traditionalist forces. The beautiful medical vessel, built for healing, shook under the impact of combat it was never designed to withstand. Marcus's military training took over. "We need to evacuate the Imperial family. This ship can't survive sustained attack." "Where would we go?" Lyrie asked. "Theron controls half the fleet. The moment we're identified, we'll be targeted. Then we don't run," Kor said, his voice carrying new steel. "We fight." "With what?" Marcus gestured at the medical vessel. "This ship has minimal weapons, no armor. But we have something Theron doesn't," Lyrie interrupted. She pulled up tactical displays, her hybrid mind processing information with combined Valorian strategic thinking and human tactical improvisation. "We have humans." She activated communications to the human diplomatic vessels. "Captain Rodriguez? This is Princess Lyrie. I need every human ship in range to form defensive formation around the Imperial flagship." "Your Highness," Rodriguez's voice came back immediately. "We're diplomats, not military. You're humans," Lyrie cut him off. "Which means you're survivors, improvisers, fighters when you need to be. Will you help us or watch the Empire tear itself apart?" Silence for 3 heartbeats. Then, "Human vessels forming up on your position." "But Highness, we're massively outgunned." "Outgunned isn't the same as beaten," Marcus said. "Trust me, I've been on the losing side before. Humans are good at winning those fights." The human diplomatic convoy, 12 small ships, lightly armed, took position around the Imperial flagship. Against Theron's fleet of battlecruisers and destroyers, they looked like insects challenging eagles. But they fought like cornered wolves. Human tactics were nothing like Valorian warfare. Where Valorians fought with elegant precision and planned maneuvers, humans fought with chaotic creativity. They used debris fields as cover, executed insane maneuvers that stressed their ships to the breaking point, coordinated attacks that made no tactical sense but somehow worked. "What are they doing?" A Valorian tactical officer shouted, watching human ships spiral and weave in patterns that violated every rule of space combat. "They're buying us time," Marcus said grimly, "and dying to do it." He watched 3 human vessels take hits protecting the flagship. We need to end this fast or they'll all be destroyed. Lyrie studied the tactical situation with hybrid perspective. Valorian strategic analysis showed them losing Theron's forces were too numerous, too powerful. But human tactical instinct whispered different possibilities. The data, she said suddenly. The Wrath's research on Void Rod, on hybridization, it's still aboard this ship. So? Kor asked. So Theron wants to destroy it. He can't allow proof that human Valorian hybridization works, that it makes us stronger. Lyrie's mind raced. He needs this ship destroyed with all evidence aboard. But if we broadcast the data empire-wide, every Valorian would know the truth, Marcus finished. That Void Rod is a Krethian bioweapon, that hybrid biology beats it, that human blood isn't contamination, it's salvation. Theron will stop us, Kor warned. The moment we try broadcasting, he'll target our communications. Let him target us, Lyrie said. Her hybrid eyes blazed with determination that was purely human in its intensity. We just need 30 seconds. 30 seconds to upload everything to the Imperial network. Once it's distributed, destroying us won't matter. The truth will be out. They had one chance. Marcus coordinated with the human ships to create a distraction. The small vessels executed a suicide run directly at Theron's flagship, drawing all attention. Meanwhile, Lyrie and Kor accessed the ship's main computer. The Wrath's complete research genetic analysis, bioweapon evidence, hybridization results compiled into one massive data package. Uploading now, Lyrie said. Progress bar crawled forward. 10%. 20%. Theron's ships noticed. Energy weapons targeted the flagship's communications array. They're locking weapons. Kor shouted. Keep uploading. Lyrie commanded. 40%. 50%. The first volley struck the ship, systems failing all around them. Communications array hit. A technician reported. We're losing connection. 60%. 70%. The upload stuttered, slowed. Marcus made a decision. He grabbed emergency repair equipment and ran. Keep it going. I'll fix the array. You'll be killed. Lyrie shouted, but he was already gone. Outside the ship, Marcus worked in vacuum, his hybrid-enhanced biology allowing him to survive conditions that would kill a pure human. Crystalline elements in his cells protected against radiation. Enhanced cellular repair fought the damage. It still hurt like fire, but he kept working. 80%. 90%. Another hit. Marcus was thrown from the hull, spinning into space. The bond between him and Lyrie screamed with his pain. Marcus! Lyrie felt his distress through their connection. She abandoned the computer and ran. The upload! Kor shouted. We'll finish or it won't. Lyrie's hybrid strength tore through sealed doors. She reached an airlock, cycled through, and launched herself into vacuum. A Valorian crystalline structure protected her. Human determination drove her forward. She caught Marcus, pulled him close. Their hybrid bond flared brilliant two partial transformations, stabilizing each other even in the killing void. Inside the ship, the upload hit 95%. 98%. 100%. Upload complete. Kor transmitted to all vessels. The data is distributed across the Imperial network. Everyone can see it now. Across the Valorian Empire, billions received the transmissions simultaneously. Evidence that Void Rod was a bioweapon. Proof that human Valorian hybridization created superior biology. Genetic analysis showing both species shared ancient origins. Medical scans demonstrating Princess Lyrie's enhanced capabilities. The truth spread like light through darkness. Aboard Theron's flagship, the Duke watched his support evaporate. Ship commanders who'd followed him for purity's sake now saw that purity meant vulnerability. Crews who'd feared human contamination now understood that humans might be their salvation. All ships, this is Admiral Krath of the Third Fleet. A new voice cut across all channels. I have assumed command from Duke Theron. All vessels will cease fire immediately. This coup is over. Theron's voice came through, broken and desperate. You fools! You're choosing extinction over purity. Humans will destroy what we are. Humans will help us survive, Krath interrupted. I have family suffering from genetic diseases Valorian medicine cannot cure. If human hybridization can save them, I'll take that chance over dying pure. His voice hardened. Duke Theron, you're under arrest for treason. The battle ended as suddenly as it began. Traditionalist forces stood down. Ships that had fired on each other minutes before now coordinated rescue operations. Lyrie brought Marcus back aboard the flagship. Medical teams rushed to stabilize him. The exposure to vacuum had been extreme, even for his enhanced biology. Stupid human, Lyrie said, tears streaming down her face. Another impossibly human response. Risking yourself like that. Marcus managed a weak smile. Learned it from you, Highness. You jumped into vacuum to save me. That's different, I'm hybrid. I can handle it. So can I, Marcus pointed out. Because of you. Because human and Valorian working together survive what either alone cannot. Over the next days, the Empire transformed. Emperor Callith didn't abdicate instead. He announced sweeping reforms. Voluntary hybridization programs for those with genetic diseases. Cultural exchange initiatives with humans. Joint research projects to develop hybrid advantages. The response shocked everyone. Thousands of Valorians volunteered immediately. Some sought cures for genetic conditions. Others simply wanted to feel emotions with human intensity, to taste food properly, to experience life more vividly. Humans, too, benefited. Crystalline enhancements, extended lifespans, enhanced regeneration, provided abilities pure human biology couldn't achieve. The exchange went both ways. Neither species diminished, both expanded. Prince Kor became the first volunteer after Lyrie. His transformation was